What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another conversation on the Easy Convo. I'm Zayd. I'm sitting down with my co-host Emmanuel Bird, and today we got a special guest for you guys.
Man, Zayd, you must be excited, bro. You must be excited for our guest. Took a couple times to get into it. If you're not familiar with Nebraska volleyball, if you're not familiar with Kansas City, Kansas basketball, volleyball, then we were talking about playing basketball earlier. But if you're not familiar, we're sitting here with Skylar Pierce. This is someone who's made a great impact in the Olathe, Kansas City area playing volleyball, has moved on and taken her talents to now Nebraska and has played there for the last 2, 3 years, if we're counting the development year or whatever you want to call it. She's done work for former Under Armour All American, Kansas City standout, as I've mentioned. Um, did some work with Team USA, if I'm not mistaken, you said
Mhm.
throughout her senior year. So this is someone who has a long list of accolades, and we could go up and down the list and talk about all of the great things that she's done. But we're excited to have her on for an easy conversation today. Skylar, we hope this is one for you. Obviously, off to a decent start, but hopefully we can get into the conversation well. We appreciate you for joining us, though.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Definitely.
Definitely. Just to start out, Skylar, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? You know where you're from.
Hey guys, I'm Skylar Pierce. Most people call me Sky though, so either one. But yeah, I'm from Kansas City, grew up in Olathe, um, kind of moved all over the middle school area, but I went to like the Northwest. For club volleyball, I kind of played everywhere. I played at KC Power, then went to Mavs, then went to Dynasty, so I was kind of a club hopper. But gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, I have like 10 siblings, so I guess that's a fun fact. Go to Nebraska. 10 siblings, yes. Yeah,
That-
we got,
Let's start there.
yeah, big old family. Two on my mom's side, the other on my dad. So we have a fun time. But yeah, it's a little bit about me, I guess.
Where do you fall in that line of the 10 siblings?
I'm like in like I'm the oldest of the youngest, if that makes sense.
I'm trying to
So,
put the pieces. So you're like,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm like the youngest in the middle, but like the oldest of the youngest, so like somewhere in there.
makes sense.
Okay, got you. And I'm sure that that dynamic in the household had to be like back and forth, competitive. Are you guys all similar ages and things like that?
Yeah, when we went to go here in Kansas, my two older brother live here, so they played basketball and baseball and did all the things. So we have a pretty good age gap, 16 years and 5 years. So I went to all their sports games, and that felt a very competitive vibe between us because I always wanted to win when I played them, and I think they kind of had to let me win half the time. But that's kind of our dynamic here. But then when we would go visit my other siblings in Chicago, it definitely was like a very competitive vibe just because we all just have like that competitive atmosphere going on.
100%. I think that
That-
that's anybody with siblings, they can relate to that. Just wanting to, man, I'm not trying to be the loser today, or you can't go
You
back in the
know.
house. You can't go back in the house talking about, man, I lost today, dad, or yeah, mom, they got on me
Mhm.
today. So, yeah.
And definitely, just where did your love for for volleyball, I think, originally start? Obviously, you had siblings growing up, but where did that love for the game first start for you?
Oh gosh. Growing up, I played basketball and soccer. Those were my main sports. And then I picked up volleyball when I was 10, I think, is when I started playing. And I think I really fell in love with it probably going into like my 14th year. I think that's when I kind of started figuring out how to play volleyball and kind of understood a little bit more. So I think that obviously makes it more fun. And then you surround yourself with amazing athletes, so it just makes it more fun. But I don't think I really decided like volleyball was my sport until probably like after my freshman year. I think that's when I kind of realized that volleyball would be like my ticket to college and that I was getting all these accolades or opportunities to go play USA or Under Armour. So probably that's probably when I like initially was like, oh, I love volleyball, but it probably started even before that. I just love the team atmosphere of it and just it's a really fast sport. Like there's not a lot of time to sit in your mistakes. So I kind of like that kind of fast tempo and fast speed and the fact that it kind of takes everybody to win. It doesn't take one shooter or one person to do this or one person to carry the team. Like it really takes everybody to get a point. So I kind of find that part is probably my favorite.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you touch on the last part of how much teamwork. and development goes into volleyball. Like
Hmm.
it's I guess when you play basketball, it takes all five to score, but not necessarily. Like if you got game, you can just go get it on your own sometimes. But
Right.
I want to ask you that because I want to ask you this next question because like you mentioned playing soccer, you mentioned playing basketball, other sports like that. How do you feel that those sports help shape you to take the steps that you were able to take on the volleyball court?
Yeah, I definitely think they did. Soccer was obviously a little different because of obvious reason, but I feel like basketball was one of those sports that I translated a lot to volleyball, or like I felt like I was playing volleyball a lot when I was playing on the basketball court, just like going to block a shot or like going to get rebounds. Like I just found myself using the same footsteps or same footwork, whether it was like defense, like I had to shuffle, or volleyball, I had to shuffle to a ball, the passes. So I kind of found those two really correlating with each other, and I definitely think that was something that like I had a little bit of an edge on just because I was a multi-sport athlete. Like I kind of did everything. So I definitely think basketball is one of the sports that kind of reinforced what I was already training in volleyball.
100%. This is just a general curiosity. Like for young female athletes, would you recommend that they play multiple sports growing up? Do you think that that helps with development and helps with just learning different operations of teamwork and things like that? Like, is that something you would recommend?
I definitely would recommend it. I one just made like most of my friends doing that just because you meet so many people playing so many sports, and I definitely think that giving yourself the opportunity to play in multiple sports also gives the opportunity to figure out what you love the most. Like I thought I loved basketball my entire life, and then next thing you know I'm playing volleyball in college, so it really just opens so many new opportunities that you didn't even think that you would have, especially at least for me. Like volleyball wasn't even like something I thought about until one of my soccer teammates were like, "Hey, you want to try out for our volleyball team and come play volleyball with us?" And I was like, "Sure." And then next thing you know, I was playing volleyball, and then I fell in love with it. So I definitely think it's something that I would recommend for everybody to do is play multiple sports.
Definitely. And you played soccer, basketball, volleyball, as you just mentioned, but strictly, focusing on volleyball, who were some of these mentors growing up that kind of shaped how you approached the game?
Ooh, I think the biggest one was probably Jordan Larson. She is like the face of volleyball. She was an Olympian. She played at Nebraska. She has all of these amazing accolades, and is probably one of the best volleyball players there's ever been. And she just now like retired, which is so sad. But she was one of our coaches at Nebraska, at least my freshman year, and then she's stopped coaching us. But I definitely think that she was probably one of the biggest mentors, just knowing her story and how she fell in love with volleyball, and then seeing her obviously go to Nebraska, and me and her play the same position. So really studying her game and how she plays and trying to apply what I learned from her into my game as well.
It's kind of hard to have that direct relationship and not want to apply it and not see like, man, like
Hmm.
this is someone that I've looked up to for so long, and now you have that direct relationship with them. That's a really, really cool experience that you've been able to apply to your life. Taking a step back from your time in Nebraska, obviously we'll be able to get there, but taking a step to high school now, like growing up playing a bunch of different sports, and you mentioned like your 14th year, which is your freshman year of high school, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
So you and Zaid, y'all went to the same high school.
You go to high school?
I feel like I'm kind of the outsider in this conversation right now because you guys were able to see um, you guys' abilities and on the court for volleyball and basketball, you guys' abilities continue to flourish. So, what was it like being not only a volleyball player but a student at Olathe Northwest High School?
It was great. I did there's like programs in our district or rather, so I did the e-communications program, and I'm studying graphic design right now. It's my major. And I definitely think going to at least Northwest gave me the opportunity to kind of flourish in graphic design and find out that that's something I really love to do. So that definitely going to at least Northwest gave me that opportunity. But even just like the people, like one of my best friends went to ONW and I got to play volleyball and basketball with her all throughout high school, which was so nice, especially because we weren't playing club anymore together. So having those opportunities, but I just think ONW opened a lot of doors for me on not just like people I got to meet, but just opportunities for volleyball, opportunities for basketball, and like being able to leave an impact on people, even if I didn't know I was leaving those impacts.
Definitely. Do you, just a side note question, do you feel like Lake the Northwest produces the best athletes in Kansas? I mean, I don't know. I might be biased because,
Maybe when, yeah, I mean, when we were there, yeah, I would
yeah,
say
I
so.
think
When
it's
we
just
were there. I don't know what's going on now, but for sure
Come
when
on.
we were there, I would say so.
Yeah,
That's the route we're taking right now, Tim.
Yeah, I mean,
that's funny. And so starting, in high school, we're talking about your volleyball experience. Was there a moment for you kind of throughout high school that like volleyball really clicked for you? It was like, okay, I'm starting to see myself had a lot of success and I can really take this to the next level and have opportunities like Nebraska.
oop. I think the moment it really clicked for me was probably my sophomore year, and I was in club season, and just club volleyball feels like it's like an all year round like thing, but I feel like that club season was really where I feel like it clicked for me that if I work as hard as I can in the sport and continue to do that, I could go far and have the opportunity to go to whatever school I wanted to. So I definitely think it was like my sophomore summer where I was like, volleyball is the sport I want to play.
Did you feel that at what point in your career were you like receiving rankings and receiving multiple offers and things like that? Because I want to ask you that before I get into my next question.
Um, I think at least for club like ranking kind of starts shoot like at 12's year, but I feel like the rankings that like really matters like our 14's year like going into high school.
Mhm.
But for volleyball, you can't get offers until the summer going into your junior year. So
Okay.
that's kind of when like June 15th is like the call date where like college coaches can really reach out to you and like basically give you offers. So at least like with Nebraska, like that's when I got my call date was June 15th, and it was like I guess they like to call it like the worst kept secret is that I was gonna go to Nebraska and that it was one of my top schools. So once they called me, I knew that's where I personally want to go, and I knew there were other schools that like I had interest in, but I knew I couldn't give up or watch Nebraska's offer go by. So I don't know. It's a little different with volleyball. I feel like now, but that's kind of how it went for me.
Definitely. I ask you that because I feel like a lot of players throughout the Kansas City area, and I guess I'm relating this more to basketball, but with a lot of the players I know in Kansas City, the offers really help build that confidence and help build that assurance of like, okay, this is definitely where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing. But it seems like for you,
Hmm.
like that assurance was being built even before the calls and things were starting to happen. And I guess where does that come from? Is it the work that you're putting in? Is it the people you're surrounding yourself with? Um,
I guess a little. It's definitely a little bit of both. I think at least like in my club and like in high school years, I definitely like when I moved to Dynasty, they were at least in our grade like the best team. So when I went there, I knew I was surrounding myself with like the best girls that were going to give me the best opportunity to win national titles, which we did, or get bids or A, B, C, and D. So I definitely think that helped my confidence in surrounding myself with people that I didn't feel like I had to do more than my job. Like I knew that if I was confident in myself and doing my job, like everyone else would do theirs, which I think most athletes know. Like once you don't feel like you have to do everyone else's job, it's a lot more fun to play your sport and it makes it a lot easier.
you're not picking
But
extra slack for sure.
yeah, it's definitely around the girls that I surround myself with, but also like the work I put in, like getting the extra reps, making sure I'm fueling, sleeping, like doing all the stuff that is like kind of behind the scenes is definitely the stuff that I feel like builds your confidence when it really comes down to it.
Yeah.
Definitely. And we were discussing before the podcast, you mentioned you did some time with Team USA in high school. How do you feel like this experience, obviously getting to play for Team USA is one of the highest, accolades you can have as a high school volleyball player. What was it like for you, in high school getting this experience, and how do you feel like it helped you prepare for Nebraska?
Yeah, USA volleyball is such a unique experience. I think for at least for volleyball, like we have like development camps that we get to go to, which is like all around the country, and they have like two or three of them throughout the year, I believe. And then from that, you kind of get selected of like, oh, we think she could play on the U21 team or U23's team. But I definitely think those experiences, rather it was the camps or actually going to making a team and going to play overseas or play wherever, I definitely think those opportunities helped me prepare for like the big stages I was going to see in Nebraska or being surrounded by the best players because that's what those NTDPs are really for is like surround yourself with all the best. So I definitely think those experiences and having those opportunities not just to grow as a person but as an athlete on those big stages definitely prepared me to go to Nebraska where you're constantly on a big stage.
We've had a guest come on who has kind of had a similar experience of going to be able to play for Team USA and play against different countries and things like that. And it's always interesting to hear like how is it going to experience that and then now you have to come back to high school and the girls are like, "Oh, like where you been at? Like where who was you playing with?" And things like that. How do you kind of separate that game versus approaching the high school game per se?
Yeah, the year that I believe it was that year. Yeah, the year I got to go play with USA was going into my junior season, my senior season, one of the two. And I missed like the first game I think that we had. So having to come back to my team was, I guess, like obviously it's gonna be awkward because you were just playing with a bunch of different girls, and now you're coming back to high school, and like there's always so much politics or so much other factors that kind of go into that kind of stuff. But I think at least for me, I was lucky enough to have teammates that understood that how important USA was for me and understood that I wasn't just going to USA just because like there was like reasoning behind it. And I was fortunate enough to have teammates that like supported me on those dreams and goals that I had and were welcoming with me coming back instead of I know there's like stories of people not liking the fact or like whatever playing time or whatever it might be, but I was thankfully fortunate enough to have teammates that really supported me in everything that I wanted to do and didn't really care on the fact that I like went to go play my dreams and now I was coming back to do high school stuff with them.
Definitely. What were some of those experiences like, if you don't mind, playing against other countries and things like that for USA?
It was really cool. It's really interesting to see how different countries like play volleyball because yeah, we played a different style kind of in US and then everybody else has like similar rules, but like there's a little bit different. But it's definitely interesting to see the setting difference or serving differences or how people pass differently. And it's like it's really cool to see that we're all playing the same sport. That there's like these minor changes that everyone does, but it still ends up working, which is really interesting to see. And we're at least like for USA, like it's really fun because we usually like stay in the same place as the other team, so we get to actually like talk to them and interact with them, which is probably my favorite part was being able to have like those relationships with people that you just played against and that you wouldn't even probably have the opportunity to build relationships with. So I think that was probably the best part of the whole experience.
Well, that is a cool experience to kind of get experience all the different cultures and
Hmm.
different countries and get to travel around the world. I assume you got to travel a little bit.
Yeah.
That's definitely probably a fun experience. Just to clarify, we're gonna talk about your recruitment process a little more. So June 15th, going into your before your junior year, that's when college coaches can contact you. And like
Yes.
before that, is there any type of contact going on, or you kind of have an
At like
idea looking at you or anything, or
you they're like camps. So like if you had like the college camps before then, you those are like the kind of times where like you get talk to college coaches because you're at their camps or stuff like that, or like even at the USA stuff, and the college coaches get to coach you and kind of stuff around those lines. But you don't really like they can't reach out to you or even like interact with you unless it's like at camps or it's June 15th going into your junior year.
definitely. And so June 15th comes around. Obviously, you said Nebraska, texted you or called you. What were some other schools, in your recruiting period that, you were seriously considering and, texted you or called you around that recruitment time period?
Um, it was Nebraska. I was interested in Penn State and Louisville. I was interested in Wisconsin. Kentucky was up there. Those are probably like my top five or so. But yeah, it was definitely like, chaotic because once 12 a.m. hit, like the floodgates come. Like everyone's texting you, calling you, and like Nebraska was the first call I took at like 12:01. So I was definitely like one of those. It was definitely a very fast process for me, but I still reached out to those certain coaches because I built connections with them and like they obviously like helped me in my recruiting process and like I still went to their camps and got to grow with them and build those relationships. So it was huge for me to like get an opportunity to like thank them for those things and like talk to them about that. And like I said, it was like one of the worst secrets that like I wanted to go to Nebraska. So like once I got on the phones with those other coaches, they were like, we already know, like congrats. Like they were really supportive about it all. So that was really nice.
Definitely. I think my question kind of gravitates exactly towards what you were saying. The call you get at 12:01, it's like when you look at Nebraska women's volleyball, it's like this is kind of the pinnacle. This is the dream place you want to be at. So, how does that knowing that this is where you want to go and have that commitment already taken care of kind of aid your play going into the next year or so when you approach club ball, when you approach high school ball, and things like that?
Yeah, I think that was more just like a stress lifted off my shoulders of like where was I going to commit. So once I kind of decided that and got that off my shoulders, I actually feel like volleyball was so much less stress, honestly, because I didn't have to go to practice and like be worried about what coaches were watching me or this or this. Like obviously I was still working as hard as I can to be better, but it was nice not having to go into every gym wondering if this coach is gonna recruit me or call me on June 15th or do A, B, C, and D. So I think after like I got my June 15th call and got committed, it actually took kind of that stress off my back. So going into like my senior year and like or senior semester, I guess, because I graduated early, like I feel like that made it a lot easier for me to go in and just play volleyball and have fun and be confident instead of having that added stress to it.
Definitely. And so you finish up your senior season. Just a quick side note. So did you commit on June 15th when they called you, or did you let the process go? Or you committed right on the spot? Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. At 12:01 a.m. in the
Oh, two,
morning.
she was committed, Zay. At 12, she was locked in. Got you guys.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm ready.
Very cool. So
Oh,
obviously the excitement is there. Nebraska volleyball, you're committed. You can finish up your high school playing career. You arrive on campus at Nebraska. Well, what was the biggest adjustment for you? Kind of jumping into from high school to college. What do you think was the biggest adjustment from you from being a high school volleyball player to now being at Nebraska volleyball?
yeah, I think the biggest adjustment first off was because I graduated early, so I didn't even take my second semester. So after that first semester, after that I was packing up going to Nebraska. But so going away from home was kind of an adjustment. Not that 3 hours is really that far, but like it's something new. And for my class, like there's only two of us in my class, so it's just me and one other person. So that was kind of nice to have somebody that you just kind of like had a buddy with to go through all the things and that's fresh for college. But I think the biggest adjustment was probably just like the constant I don't even know, like the constant having to balance everything, but also the constant like competitiveness, like in the gym. Like obviously when you go to club in high school, like there's different levels of players and types of players on every team. But I feel like when I got to Nebraska, like everybody was obviously the best. So going into a gym where I knew I needed to not just compete, but also like compete whatever my 100% could be that day, and doing that every day was something that I was used to doing like in my own gym, but now knowing that I was going to be faced up against all the best who were not just my age but also older was something that you don't everyone like says you're prepared for and like you do the USA, but you never know what it's really like until you're like in the gym, especially Nebraska's gym because they are known for being the best and they've won national championships and they just broke the record for the most viewed game on the outdoor game that happened the year before I got there. So there's just a lot of nerves, I think, in the idea of like going to Nebraska and all the eyes that would be on you once you got there. But I feel like after my first semester, that's when it kind of settles in and like you get used to the routine of things.
Yeah, I think being able to go up to a semester early per se, and being able to graduate early and experience that beforehand of going into your what would be your true freshman year, I guess, if that makes sense. But
Mhm.
I want to ask, like, how was that relationship with the person coming in your freshman year or that first semester? How did that help adjust not only to the volleyball side of things, but just like being a new student on campus, being in a new environment? Where should we go eat at? Like, what do you want to do tonight? Like those types of things. How is that relationship able to help you like on your journey per se? I guess.
Yeah, it was really nice, especially because she was from Nebraska, so she grew up watching Nebraska and kind of knew the layup Lincoln too. So she kind of knew like the food spots or to do this or do that. But it was nice having she was my roommate too, so it was just us two. So it was nice having somebody that I knew I could constantly talk about volleyball stuff with, school stuff with, like whatever social life, whatever was going on in our days. Like we always knew that we could come home and just talk about those kind of stuff or like the weird stuff of college and it both being our first time. So it was nice to have somebody that it was new to them too, so it didn't feel as scary because you knew you were walking through it with somebody else too.
Definitely. Where would you recommend if anybody's sliding through Nebraska? Where would you recommend for them to go eat at? You've been there for some time now, so you can kind of give.
Um, my favorite place, it's this place called Hero 88. It's like a sushi place.
Okay.
That's probably my favorite place to go to, or like I go there a lot. But I don't know, they have a lot of stuff in like their Haymarket area, and they're all pretty much pretty good.
Definitely. And I feel like, all athletes have a welcome to college moment when you first get to college. Like I can think back to my first time at Washburn. I think it was going up in the spring and we were just playing pickup and I was gassed after a couple down and backs. I'm like, how am I ever gonna be in good enough shape to play collegiate basketball? I don't know what E's story exactly was. I'm sure it's, of a similar I think he was living actually for that. So I'm sure it's of like a similar nature.
I remember if we're talking welcome to college real quick. I know this isn't my interview, but my
No, it
welcome to
is.
college
Go.
was
Yeah.
definitely when it was in the summer before we're even supposed to be there. And it's this guy right here. He comes down on the baseline, and we're a camp full of kids. So when we do camps, like we work out in front of the kids before their lunch and stuff like that. This guy comes baseline on a big who's been there for like 3 or 4 years. So like usually the big's gonna like block it or like wall him up, foul him. This
Mm-hmm.
dude just comes up and just dunks on him. One hand, and like all the kids are like jumping up, going crazy. Like you look up in the stands, it's weird because it's a camp. So you look in the stands and like you got kids like pointing down at the guy, like doing this. And it's like, am I supposed to be doing that as a freshman? Like this guy's a freshman. Like, is that how we're supposed to be? But I think that was a huge welcome to college moment for me because it's like, all right, I probably should get a little bit better if that's what the expectation is going to be from here on out.
Nah, he's just gassing me up a little bit. It wasn't that.
Right.
It,
Of
it
course.
was though. No, it was, champ. You know it was like that. Like I don't know why
Yeah,
you
yeah,
did.
I mean, it was all right, humbly. It was a cool
If we
little
can
moment.
find the clip, if we can find the clip, we'll get the clip.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. I have to
fine.
see that.
Sky,
But
this
yeah,
is
so
your
let's,
opportunity.
as you hear, we obviously had our welcome to college moments that we can
Mm-hmm.
remember pretty well. What was you feel like you have a welcome to college moment when you first got
Um,
to Alaska?
I can't remember exact moment, but it was probably like doing 6-on-6 and like realizing how fast the game is or how big the block is now or how good the defenders are. Like you have to hit the ball harder and move it more or you have to jump higher to get over the block. So I think there is definitely probably a couple moments of either me getting stuff blocked or hitting the same shot over and over again and waiting for it to go down. There's probably a few of those moments, especially in my spring semester.
Definitely. The thing about volleyball that always impresses me is how hard like you guys hit at that level.
Oh
Like it's
my
actually
God,
super. It's
it's not
super
fair.
impressive.
It's not fair.
And sometimes I'm like, how do like the people on like the other side like how are they getting under these shots towards them and stuff? It's pretty impressive to me
It is
what you guys
impressive.
do.
I
Um,
had I had one experience playing sand volleyball, and then I just knew, it's not as easy as it looks. It's definitely not as easy as it looks, and I fully commend anybody who's able to do that at a very high level.
Yeah,
Which
definitely not.
I want to
Beach is hard.
I want to ask you this next question, Skylar, more so specifically to the Nebraska culture and how you guys continue to keep developing high level players, continue to keep developing more championships and more opportunities for high level girls coming out of high school or coming out of the transfer portal, whatever the case may be. Uh,
Hmm.
what is that culture like inside of the volleyball locker room, the fans that the fans may not see and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, we call it like the Nebraska standard. Like over the past however many years, like they've worked since Nebraska volleyball started to have like this standard that we're gonna be the best and we're gonna continue to be the best year from year to year. And I think that's just something that we go into every game, no matter if you're a freshman, a senior, whatever it might be, that like you're not just wearing a Nebraska jersey for yourself, you're wearing it for every woman who played before you, who's gonna play after you. Like what representation are you gonna have on and off the court? And I think that's been a huge thing with us, especially with this group of girls over the past couple months, especially because we got our new freshmen coming in, or we had our new freshmen come in this spring and like getting them acclimated. And I feel like they actually, when you come to Nebraska, you have a pretty good idea of like what the Nebraska standard is just from watching the girls. Like we've just had so many good representation over every year, honestly, of just like what Nebraska volleyball stands for. And I think we'll continue to keep that standard, and hopefully all the teams that come through Nebraska will keep that standard alive. But I don't know. I think it's just when you think of Nebraska volleyball, you just think of a standard of winning and being the best of the best. And that's just something that we try to really hone in on, especially when we're in season.
Definitely, and he touched on, culture is obviously very important for, any sport at any level for college sports. Who were some of the girls on Nebraska volleyball, coming in your freshman, sophomore year that really you felt like acclimated you and kind of, taught you the ways of Nebraska volleyball?
Yeah, my freshman year, it was definitely our captains at the time, which were Merritt and Lexi, and specifically Merritt did a really good job at taking me in, especially because that was my redshirt year. So it was just I redshirted by myself, so it was just kind of me going against the wolves of redshirting, and she kind of, in a way, like held my hand through it and really like reassured me that everything was gonna be okay. And she's still somebody that I talked to today, and like was like on the phone with her yesterday. Like she's one of those people that held the Nebraska standard, but also as a person is just someone you want to be when you grow up. And just she's such an amazing woman on and off the floor. And I think she is such a good representation of what Nebraska standard is. And even like every year, I mean, I feel like the seniors have done a great job of like welcoming in the younger classmen and like making sure that they understand the standard, but also know that like everybody's just human. Like we're all gonna make mistakes. Like it's okay, and we're gonna make everything work out. So I definitely had some really good mentors going into my first 2 years of college for sure.
That's really cool that you say it that way because when we're having this conversation, you can kind of hear it in the way that you speak about some of the older upperclassmen that you've been having relationships with and things like that, and then your experiences coming in and things like that. How do you feel that this upcoming season now you'll be one of the true upperclassmen and things like that? How do you feel that you're able to now step into that role and give back, not necessarily give back, but lead in more of a lead by example and lead vocally? I don't know. Are you like a big talker? Are you like the loudest person in the gym? I think every person has like their niche for what gets them going or whatever the case may be.
I don't know if I'd necessarily say I'm the loudest. I think being in college, I've learned to find what my voice looks like, even if it's not necessarily the most loudest person in gym. I think I've found where my voice fits on the court, and I've been learning at least this semester to really hone in on that and how I can contribute and make my voice be known, whether that's on or off the court or whatever that may be. But I definitely think, at least for like this going into this season, I am now older. That's so weird. I feel old. Going into this season, I feel like being now upperclassman is definitely something you kind of take into consideration, is that you are kind of becoming a mentor for the younger girls, and even like the girls that are coming in next year and to come. Like we'll have camps where they'll come and we do like a big or a dream big camp, or like a recruiting camp. So all the kids that we're recruiting would come to Nebraska, and that's kind of when we get to meet all of them and kind of start that mentorship I get. So I feel like definitely going into this season, it's gonna be like my first, well, even already in like the spring, like getting the freshmen acclimated and kind of stepping into what being like a mentor and being one of the older girls on the team really looks like, and making sure I'm doing a good job of not just being there for them on the court, but really being there off the court, because college can be difficult and you never know what backgrounds people are coming from or what might be their thing. So definitely being there for them on and off the court is going to be huge for our team.
100%. I think it's funny you mentioned like, oh, like I feel old now. It really is crazy, like how fast, college sports fly by. Like you're
Mhm.
that freshman at one moment, trying to learn everything, feel lost, and all of a sudden you're junior, senior, in a leadership role,
Yeah.
having to try to lead these new people coming in. I think it's crazy just like how fast that experience
No. It
flies by.
goes so much faster than everyone's like, yeah, it goes by fast, but then you're like, it's not gonna go by that fast. And now I'm like, oh wait, no. And I still have like 2.5 years left, but it still feels like it's flowing by.
This
Yeah.
is not my first time saying this on the pod, but based on the conversation we're having, I feel like this is a perfect time to plug one of the better shows I've seen. Have you ever seen The Office?
I have seen clips, yeah.
All right, Eclipse is a. If you like shows like that, maybe watch The
That's
Office.
a show? Okay, I'll add it to the list.
This is the top show. There's a quote in The Office where it says, "I wish there was a moment where you could realize that you're in the good old days without leaving them." And
Mm.
that's very quotable to the journey with being a freshman all the way to your senior years. Just like you want to, I don't know, maybe it wasn't a good quotable time.
No, that was good. That was good. That was good. That was good.
Um, we kind of touched on it a couple times. You mentioned it. You kind of mentioned it. The Nebraska, playing for Nebraska, play for the Nebraska volleyball fans. Let's talk about that atmosphere of playing for Nebraska volleyball, where the fans are crazy about volleyball. They show up to all the games. What is that like for you? Playing for a fan base like that.
It's so surreal. I feel like growing up, you just saw the Nebraska fans and you like saw how crazy they were, but now like being in it and hearing them like chant your name or like chant or cheer our team on is just so crazy because they do travel everywhere. Like there's never been a game where there weren't Nebraska fans there, or we go to others facilities and we sell the place out with Nebraska fans, and like there's just I've never seen a college team have a fan base like Nebraska does, and it's not just volleyball. Like they go crazy for basketball. They did this year for the basketball team, or for football. Like it's just crazy to see how ride or die Nebraska fans are, and I don't know. We're just so lucky to have a fan base that truly like loves our team so much and are willing to go everywhere and anywhere to support us.
Do you have a specific game that comes to mind when, like, if someone were to ask you to describe Nebraska volleyball fans and one game, what game would you use to describe them?
It definitely, I wasn't technically at Nebraska yet, but it definitely would be their outdoor game that was like in Nebraska, it's known as Volleyball Day, but it was the Memorial Stadium game that they had where they played volleyball outside, and they broke the record 92,003, I think. So that's definitely a game where like you saw how crazy Nebraska fans are, and that like they filled the entire stadium up, and it was just such a beautiful thing just for women's sports, but also like for volleyball to see it take off and like to be a part of a team where like Nebraska volleyball is kind of at the forefront of like making it take off, and like being in front of those types of people really watching volleyball and like seeing little girls look up to us is such a surreal feeling. So I definitely think that is one of the games where it like really settled in how amazing our fans are, and just how amazing volleyball is and how much it's grown over the years.
And you talking about Nebraska fans, I'm sure kind of the same thought
Yeah,
triggered for him.
you
We
already
have a we
know.
actually, we had,
You
we
already
had a
know.
roommate that was he's from Lincoln, Nebraska, obviously.
Mm,
He's a
Yeah,
huge Nebraska fan.
huge.
But like the diff like it's just funny like how like it's like a different level of passion for the
it
team. Like
is, yeah.
yeah, no, I just thought it was funny. And then we actually went down to the NCAA tournament and a couple months ago when they were in the Sweet 16, I think. But just like
Hmm.
just the level of just like I think people were crying after they won. So
Oh yeah.
it does
We were all crying. The entire I think Lincoln was the entire state was crying. Like it was
Go Big Red.
surreal. It was so crazy. Yeah.
definitely. But this kind of leads me, I guess, into my next question. Having a fan base that is this passionate, having people look up to you. Do you feel like this kind of adds pressure to you, or do you feel like this is more of a motivator you just to work that much harder?
I think you can see it as both, but I think motivation is more where it leans toward. I think when you first start, it's like, oh, there's a lot of pressure, like a lot of people watching us. But I think as you kind of get used to it, it's more like the motivation behind it, and like you're not just doing it for yourself or for your teammates or your coaching staff. You're doing it for the state of Nebraska and like the fans, and not even just the fans in Nebraska. Like we have fans all over the country.
Yeah.
So knowing that we have these people that are willing to support us everywhere and anywhere we go, and even if like I've seen my teammates who have transferred or gone other places, like they still ride or die for you. Like they still support you through everything. So I think it's definitely more of a motivator to not just do it for ourselves, but do it for our fan base, do it for everybody.
Definitely. And with this team moving forward, going into this next season, what would you say excites you most about the future of this upcoming Nebraska roster?
嗯， I think I'm most excited just for everybody to see our team and just to see what we've been working on. And I'm excited for this team in particular because of our senior class. Like, this senior class has done a lot for Nebraska. So I think it would be really exciting for us. Just so I know our team has a lot of goals, obviously, this year to go to the Natty, win a national championship, win Big Ten, like A, B, C, and D. And I think that's probably what I'm most excited for is just for us to kind of get the season started and to really see how good we can be by the end of the season.
Yeah.
In your time in Nebraska, obviously been there 3 years now, my apologies. What do you feel like is something, you improved most with your game and how you play volleyball since when your time there?
I feel like the my entire game has evolved, I would say. I definitely think passing is just one thing that like takes repetition after repetition after repetition to get really good at. And I think at least this spring, like I feel like that's something that I really honed in on and finally feel like I figured it out a little bit and feel more confident in. But I also just think like when you're in our Nebraska gym, like every day feels like you got a little bit better at something. And I feel like for me, like passing was a huge thing, being able to hit the ball harder or serve this shot or hit this shot more, A, B, C, and D. I feel like that's been something I've been working on, especially with my redshirt year, being able to have like that development period where I got to really hone in on my skills because I wasn't playing games. So I definitely think that period gave me a lot of time to really focus on those nitty gritty things that I knew I needed to work on so I could be a factor on this team. But I definitely think passing is one of those things that like everybody kind of talks about because passing is such a hard skill. But I definitely think that's something that I did a really great job this spring of like honing in on and really taking the time to like break it down so I could build it back up.
I think when being in college athletics, it's very difficult to play a sport the way at the level you do and like be able to just be like, man, like not focus solely on that, but be like, okay, I still want to get better. I still want to be able to add to my game and things like that. What were some
Mhm.
things off of the court that helped you be able to continue to develop on the court, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think my mentality was a huge thing. I got a sports psych my sophomore year of high school, junior year of high school, and she's been such a big part of my development and just the fact that volleyball is such a like in your head kind of sport because if you make a mistake, like you don't really have time to sit in it. So I
Mhm.
feel like having the time or putting in the time to actually work on like the mental side of the sport and like no reminding myself and honestly teaching myself that I'm not just a volleyball player and that I'm not defined by what I do on the court. It's real that I have so many other beautiful things about myself and beautiful things that I by the grace of God, have the opportunity to do and that I'm good at. So I feel like making sure that I took it seriously of what my mentality was going to be and really took the time to like grow myself as a person so that the volleyball stuff didn't feel like it was such a heavy weight on my shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. And I like that you mentioned that because the part of sports I think it is almost just as important as the
Hmm.
part. It's cool that you invested time in early into that. So, it's getting to those environments, being in Nebraska, it's second nature to you at that point. You're used to being in these type of environments, you know how to handle yourself, know how to conduct yourself. So I think that's very cool. Before we kind of transition out of your Nebraska volleyball experiences so far, what is one goal you have? You talked about team goals for next season. What is one goal you have for yourself, going into the next season?
Hmm. I think one goal for myself I feel like at least over like the last 2 years, like obviously I redshirted, and then my last year, like I got opportunity on the court, but I definitely this year I want to make my presence more known and try to find as many opportunities as I can to be on the court. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that I'm going into this season with is how can I get myself prepared to be on the court as much as I hopefully will get the opportunity to be.
100%.
Uh, I think now, I think it's time to do the easy choice. I think we kind
Is
of
it
worked through your
really?
story a little bit. We have a little segment that Emmanuel runs, so I'll let him take the reins on this one.
This time when Zayd introduced me, this makes me feel special. I feel happy being able to do this with all of our guests. Um, Skylar, today we have for you the easy choice. This is basically where we're going to rapid fire some questions for you. And if you need to, you can take your time, think about the questions. But if
Mhm.
not, we're rapid fire, we're quick hitters on these questions. And we call it the easy choice because for you, all you have to do is make the easy choice.
Right. It's that easy.
Are you ready to go?
I think so.
All right, let's do it. The first question I have for you is your favorite arena that you've played in.
Penn State.
Who is the hardest hitter on Nebraska?
Harper Murray.
Who is the best teammate personality off the court?
Terea Sigler.
This is a two-part question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite pregame song? I'll let you answer that one first.
Any gospel music. I like to listen to a lot of gospel music before I go on the court.
Okay. And then who are your top three artists in your playlist right now?
Um, Drake,
You just got
SZA. Oh, I listen to a lot of Daniel Caesar. Yeah.
Daniel Caesar's good. I like him. One athlete outside of volleyball that you look up to.
Hmm. I would say Anna Hall. She's a track. She does long jump. Not long jump. She runs track, and I know I've just seen her story and how her faith has impacted her life, and just seeing her face mental stuff or just all the Olympic stuff that she's and accomplishments that she's been able to do, and I just find that really inspiring.
That's dope. Your favorite thing about Kansas City?
I think my favorite thing is probably like the sports. Like we have Chiefs, we have the Royals, we have the KC Currents and sporting, and I love going to all the sporting events, so that's probably one of my favorite things, yeah.
Definitely. And if you weren't playing volleyball, what sport would you be playing?
Probably basketball.
Definitely. Wait,
I think so.
what position did you play when you played basketball? I don't feel like we touched on that earlier.
I I want to say I was a forward, but I don't even think that's really what it was. I just kind of ran around and just
You just
I
have
got the I would say in basketball I was really like the defense, like that's where I really took pride in was defense, and then I just passed it to my teammate who was like a really good scorer, and I was just like, yeah, here you go, here's the ball. But like defense was like where I like that was my happy place, like that's where I wanted to be. When we went to offense, it was like
you guys have
uh
fun from what it sounds like though.
Yeah, I could do my part. Like I did my part scoring, but like defense, like put me on the best player, and I was happy to be there.
My last question for you here is we spoke earlier a little bit about this, and you mentioned that you feel like all athletes, not only male or female, but male also, should be able to play multiple sports, be able to experience the different relationships with things they're able to build through multiple sports. So if you were to have to give one piece of advice to younger female athletes today, whether it be about volleyball or just something in general, what piece of advice would you give them?
Ooh, just um, I think the biggest piece of advice that I've learned over my years of just not just playing sports, but just through life is that the biggest thing that I learned was not having my identity be so much into my volleyball or my sports career, or like what I was doing in volleyball. And I think once I realized that volleyball was the only thing that defined me, I had so much more joy playing that sport. So the biggest piece of advice would probably be just to not take it as seriously, honestly. Like volleyball or sports in general, just such a beautiful thing where you get to meet so many amazing people and play a sport that you love. And I feel like once you get so wrapped up in that stuff, you kind of miss out on all the beautiful things around it with like relationships or opportunities or all the things that you do outside of your sport. So I feel like the biggest piece of advice would just, I don't even know, just to enjoy it all. Like, don't get so caught up in the sport you're playing that you miss out on all the other things going on with you. Because I feel like we kind of talked about, like college went by so fast, and I feel like you miss out on all those opportunities or stuff that happened in your past. And I feel like, at least for me, like I was so caught up in volleyball or basketball that I kind of missed out on like the other high school things or middle school things or like whatever. So I feel like, yes, you can be focused on your sport and like do all the stuff of like getting extra reps or whatever, but also don't forget that you're just a kid too. Like you gotta live a little bit too with it.
Definitely. And ladies and gentlemen, that was the easy choice with Skylar Pierce.
You did it.
Yeah, I like how you touched on that last part, like especially in high school, you don't really know. You're kind of just so wrapped up in your sport and
Mm-hmm.
like you have to put all your time in your sport. Like weirdly, you get to college and you realize like I'm actually better off in my sport when I balance my time a little better. When
Yes.
I play volleyball, I go hard for the I don't is it 20 hours a week for volleyball too at the D1 level? That's
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we're at. That's what we
Yeah.
were season. You go hard 100% for those 20 hours a week, but also once you're off the court, turn off that switch and go enjoy your
Yeah.
time and have
You
fun.
definitely need to be able to go fill your bucket because once you're in like the practice zone, like you're locked in. But I feel like the biggest thing for me was going on the weekends and filling my bucket and making sure was filled with all the things that I love to do and like all my other hobbies, so that when I went to volleyball, I didn't feel like that much pressure was on me.
Um, this is a question. This is my final question before we let you go. This is a question we ask all our guests. If you could see one person after you just had your conversation with that, if you could see one person now on the easy conversation, who would that person be?
Oh gosh. Ooh. I don't know. Maybe any other like volleyball player or any other woman athlete, female athlete. I feel like I don't know. I'm trying to think of people that we went to high school with. They're like anything along those lines. I can't even like process. But I don't know. I feel like I'm always interested when I hear like the female voice. So any female athlete really.
Okay.
We're trying. We're trying.
You
Yeah,
got it. You
okay.
guys got it.
Yeah.
It's a good start. You're on the way.
And Devin, you might have to help us out a little bit, connect
I
us.
got you. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I think that's all I have for today. You have any final words for Skylar?
Nah, man, I appreciate you, Skylar, for joining us today. Obviously, it was great hearing your story and getting to meet you a little bit through this conversation. Um, wish you the best going into your next season. Hope you can
Thank
see some
you.
more court time. Get the passing together, keep growing in that type of
Right.
way. Then you said that you're doing I'm so sorry. You said that you're doing for school graphic design.
Graphic design.
Yeah,
Yep.
I wanted to say designing graphics, but I was like, that's not it. That's just not what's called.
Close. It was close. It was
But
close.
yeah, graphic design. I wish you the best in that also.
Thank you.
This was a great conversation. I appreciate you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, definitely. I kind of second what E said. We appreciate you coming on, hearing your journey, and yeah, best of luck to you and all your future endeavors you have going for you. We'll definitely be tuned in to some of your games next season and see what you guys got going on. So best of luck.
So,
And
thanks. Best of luck to you guys too.
Thank you.
yeah, we appreciate that. For everyone else listening, if you enjoyed our conversation, make sure you like, comment, and share, and we'll be back next time. Thanks, Skylar.
Yeah, of course.